The sound of an asymmetrical multiplayer game based on the Predator franchise sounds like a recipe for success. You and a couple of your friends roam through the jungle trying to complete objectives while being hunted by an alien with crazy technology and a very strange love for mesh clothing. That really does sound like a good multiplayer experience to me, especially if it's being developed by a team who's already proven they can create great multiplayer experiences with an established franchise. Illphonic's Friday the 13th game was a charming but very janky asymmetrical multiplayer game that pitted a team of 7 survivors versus 1 Jason. It was a game that was a blast and created scary, tense, and laugh-out-loud moments. When I first heard that the Predator Hunting Grounds would be developed by Illphonic, I thought they could do no wrong. Man was I wrong. Predator Hunting Grounds creates a multiplayer game that only creates a fresh and intriguing experience when playing as a Predator, and builds a boring, bland experience when playing as the soldiers. The game lacks the depth and variety a multiplayer game needs for it to be not only successful, but to be just a good time to play. Predator Hunting Grounds is a multiplayer game that's repetitive nature holds it back from greatness. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Predator Hunting Grounds is an asymmetrical multiplayer game in which a squad of you and 3 of your buddies complete objectives around the map, while one player, playing as a Predator obviously, hunts you down. When playing as a soldier, there's 2 ways to win a match. Either complete all the objectives and safely extract, or take out the Predator. The way to win while playing as a Predator is by, you guessed it, wiping out the entire enemy team. Now listen, I gotta get one thing out of the way. And it's how Predator Hunting Grounds lacks the personality some of the past entries in the franchise have had. The game is too macho and gritty and takes itself way too seriously. Why aren't there any witty one-liners or some fun banter between your teammates? And how do you fuck up the "get to the chopper" line? It's so anticlimactic, and yes, I know that was a terrible "get to the chopper" impression, but that's the best I could do. And furthermore, how do you mess up the greatest handshake in history?
You son of a bitch.
Because during the victory screen, there was just some heavy sexual tension between my teammate and I that I never knew was there before until I saw this victory screen. But enough about that. Now let's get into the real meat and potatoes of Predator Hunting Grounds. What's important in any asymmetrical multiplayer game is making sure both sides are a blast to play and both provide fluid and inspired gameplay. Predator Hunting Grounds makes playing as the soldiers a horribly repetitive and boring task. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I first started playing as the soldiers, I was having a blast. Being hunted by a good Predator was exhilarating and terrifying, and just hearing his nearby purrs made me feel like I was actually in the original movie. But the more and more I played, the more that novelty began to wear off, and I started noticing how the soldier gameplay was, well, bad. The gunplay, holy shit. I don't know how this made it through testing, but it is so awful. I play a good amount of shooters, anything from Apex Legends to Rainbow Six Siege to Call of Duty Warzone, and I like to think I know when a shooter feels good to play. In Call of Duty, the controls are smooth, responsive, and they give me a sense of power. Predator Hunting Grounds gunplay does not meet the bare minimum. Here, it's hard to stay on track because the controls lack fluidity, making me feel as if my analog stick is broken. I'll have the hardest time trying to line up my crosshair against an enemy AI who isn't even moving. While fighting a Predator, it feels like a miracle whenever I do land shots on him. It's slow, it's sluggish, and stagnant when compared to other competent shooters. In addition, the class system doesn't seem to matter. Regardless as to what class I played, none of them felt any different from one another. And it doesn't matter if there's no variety in a group because team composition isn't a thing here. The perk and gadget system is cool though, only giving certain classes a set amount of points to spend in either category. Picking the right gadget is crucial because it makes keeping your team alive a lot easier, and perks offer crucial stat increases like maybe carrying an extra gadget charge or putting on mud faster. And I know what you're thinking. Can I put on mud here just like the movies? Yes you can, but it's not nearly as cool, so like just to nip that in the bud, it's actually pretty lame. Really, I mean, there's no really like way to sum it up. It's just kind of there. What's worse is that all the weapons feel the same regardless of what class of weapon they are. My assault rifle felt the same way my SMG did, and so on and so forth. In Apex Legends, in Rainbow Six Siege, and Call of Duty, there's a clear distinction between each gun, and each has their pros and cons. Here, they all just blend together. The attachment system is shallow, not changing anything about your weapon other than the fact that the magazine is bigger or the gun is quieter. Okay, tight. The most frustrating aspect of playing as a soldier, though, is how repetitive the gameplay overall starts feeling. With only 3 maps, there's very little deviation from the things you do. It's always the same thing. Go here, defend this, kill this person, plant this. It's so uninspired. But luckily, the saving grace of this game is the star of the show, the Predator. I think it's no surprise to no one that the star of this game is playing as a Predator. And damn, it's so hard to express how much I fucking love playing as him or her. Playing as a Predator is a power fantasy. When you're traversing the jungle, you're parkouring or predacoring. And by the way, I did not make that up. It's in the game, it's actually called predacoring. I'm not trying to be clever. That's literally what the developers named it. With the grace of a ballerina, the animations are so fluid and goddamn cool that I never got tired of just running around. The gadgets you have access to are ripped straight from the Predator universe, and using those gadgets made me feel like I was in the movies. What I loved about playing as a Predator was how much strategy was involved when playing him. I had to take into account when to pick a fight with enemy players, when to use a certain gadget, what weapon should I use, is it worth using my plasma cannon and expose my position? There were so many layers to peel if I wanted to successfully wipe a team. Ilfonic did a great job of allowing you to play how you want to play. In my case, I played a very hit and run playstyle, opting to make my moves when enemy players were in very chaotic situations. I'd wait for them to get into firefights and then pounce like a cheetah. Unlike the soldier classes, the Predator classes actually felt different and felt like they made a difference. The Scout is a very fast and mobile class, the Berserker is a walking behemoth, and the Hunter is your jack of all trades. Each class allows for a variety of different builds that are all viable as long as you stick to that certain playstyle. I spent a majority of my time playing as the Hunter because he provided a good balance of health and speed. Much like the soldiers, the perks and gadgets do matter and can make the world of difference in certain situations. I opted for perks that would increase my energy reserves, letting me stay cloaked longer and use my thermal vision more frequently. Playing as a Predator lets you be creative and gives you a playground to experiment with. The customization in Predator Hunting Grounds is limiting for both sides, giving no real sense of ownership over your character. For soldiers, you're only able to really customize their head with a variety of different options such as hats, helmets, glasses, and face paint. You know, the usual. There's no real customization when it comes to personalizing your uniform because you're only able to change the color of it. Only if unlocked, of course. The weapon camos you unlock aren't really interesting, offering very dull and downright plain, ugly paint jobs. For the Predator, you have a handful of different helmets, different color dreads, and war paints to choose from, and some of the helmets are actually super dope. You can change your skin tone and armor color, but none of that is too drastic. I wish you could customize different parts of your armor and truly make your own Predator. The map design in Predator Hunting Grounds is terrible. This is one of my biggest gripes with the game. I mean, I've had a lot of gripes with this game, but this is definitely like top 3. There's only 3 maps available, but there's very, very little distinguishing them. All the maps look like the same jungle, and I know, there's only so much you can do with the setting, but I feel this is kind of unacceptable. There are no interesting landmarks or varied terrain, there's so much empty space, there's nothing interesting within the maps, and they all come across as unimaginative. There are a few bugs here and there, but it's nothing too drastic. The only bug that drove me crazy was a matchmaking bug that kept me in queue forever and I had to completely restart the application. There are other bugs here and there, like the sound of gunfire still sounding even though you're not firing your gun, or being unable to put mud at certain times, but nothing that made the game any worse. At a $40 price tag, I don't think Predator Hunting Grounds offers an experience that's worth that amount of money. There's no way someone should spend so much money on a partial good experience. Predator Hunting Grounds gets 2 plasma cannons out of 5.